this idea of, because ISO can be used in any use case, does that mean we can use ISO from a CMMC perspective? So let me ask it this way. If you are getting ISO 27001 certified, or you're considering it, and you know that CMMC is something that you need to achieve, and as you are constructing your ISMS, you're considering the CMMC requirements, as part of your interested parties in your ISMS scope, then from my perspective, I would think that the resultant ISMS should essentially be ready for CMMC certification, assuming we do it right. Thoughts, Goshes? Anything you would look differently as an auditor than I just said?
Well, the thing is remember, ISO 27001 is about putting in place a management system, which by definition requires ownership and involvement of top management to ensure the provision of the resources for planning, implementing, and managing your controls, things that are needed to identify and mitigate risks that might affect the organization's information and information assets. The ISO 27000 certification can provide a foundation for implementing key components and practices of the CMMC. Many of the domains that are in the CMMC model are also within the controls of the ISO 27001. The only exceptions is that there's two areas which are not covered, and that is there are two areas that are not covered, two domains that are not covered that I remember. But the thing is the ISO 27 controls are less prescriptive, and they do not delve into some of the technical aspects of the securing data that CMMC practices do. So the thing is the ISO 27001 helps you raise awareness about the need to safeguard and protect information and information assets. It introduces a concept of having risk assessments, and also is implementing controls. But the thing is the CMMC model has more domains, more practices, and more technical practices at that. So the thing is there are things you can do to satisfy the 27,000 requirement, but are not yet enough to satisfy the CMMC practices. You may need more resources and additional technology and tools to satisfy those CMMC requirements.
Gotcha. So I think what you're saying, and please correct me if I'm wrong, is that because the CMMC has some more prescriptive guidance, that as long as we're implementing our ISO 27001 controls in consideration of that guidance, which we would, right, if that was something that was documented in our system security plan, it was reflected in our statement of applicability, if it was reflected in our risk assessment, that would mean that we'd ensure that we implement those controls in a way that would conform with CMMC. So if we architect an ISMS with CMMC fully considered, we should end up in a place where we can both be ISO 27001 certified and CMMC certified.
That is correct.
Cool.
And the thing is, like I said earlier, the two domain areas that are not covered, that are part of the CMMC model, are situational awareness and maintenance. Those two domains are not part of the ISO 27000 standard.
Yeah, there's that one, and I don't recall it off the top of my head, but there's one area of ISO, the standardized operating procedures portion, that I think you could make an argument. Part of that, that's sort of those old school run books, and that should cover that maintenance pretty well. But good point, and I think that's a good for anyone that is going to use that approach. I think that's two good things to make sure that we provide some additional coverage to cover well.